You traveled. You put some miles on your legs yesterday.
I did. I had a couple of appointments in Austin, and then I went from Austin. I jetted over to Taylor. We have an office there. I went and saw the good folks there. And then I whipped on over and watched the Aggies dismantle the number 5 rated Texas Longhorns in baseball. I watched it with Kyle and his buddies at their home, and then I drove home. I didn't get home till about 11:30. T-Lat was like, I walked in. T-Lat was like, I'm asleep. Don't talk to me. I'm talking in my sleep.
Good visit with your son?
Great. He was great. And they seen him and Landon Simpson. So, Landon's one of his roommates, and Landon's really got some things going on. He's working in recruiting with A&M. And yesterday they had essentially like a pro day. And like there were all 32 teams from the NFL now have representatives that are regional. And they came and, watched guys like Kellen Mond and all that. So big time. Landon's having a great time too, doing what he does. He wants to go into some kind of recruiting.
Does he?
Yeah. So that's, he's always been a sports. Yeah. Don't want to coach. He wants to be in recruiting. So he wants to be the bad guy. If you're an Aggie, so he'll be the guy that takes the paper bag and tries to get Eric Dickerson. Please take the Trans Am, but don't go to SMU. Absolutely.
So we're slow. I mean, I know there's people there, but I can't. Oh, there we go. Greg, let's see. Let's start at the top. CU was first one in. Marvin Mickish first one in. He's been pretty consistent in the top 4.
He must be working shift work.
Kendall Douglas, good morning. Scott Snow checking in. There's Scott Tomko, Robin Moore Knipling, Diane Tippett, Madeline Mayer, Roy Gutierrez, Judge Posey, Rena Scherer, Mike Bloschke, Patrick Strauss, good morning. Bobby Leister, it is called a Wednesday today. Looking forward to that. 833 YouTubers, according to the Leisterometer.
Yeah.
Randy Langston's in. Karen Webb, Chris Conrad. Lorena Bargenbrook says she's up and at 'em. Christina Wise, good morning. It's a great morning for Christina. Her South Carolina Gamecocks dismantled.
Just destroyed Texas
Longhorns.
It's like 62 to 34, something like that.
And no slight on the Longhorns. South Carolina's dismantled everybody they've played in this tournament. No single-digit losses at all. In fact, they've pretty much blown everybody out. So
good for them. Are they top?
I think they're the number 1 team in the country, yeah.
Good.
Lisa Poole, good morning. David Glass, Justin Glass, Greg Garcia, Tom Price. The Iceman is in. Clint Ives.
Kamish, good morning.
Jeremy Pena, H.R. Mallory. Terry Murray, good morning. Junior Samples, Matt Cantu. Good group checking in this morning. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for tuning in. So I watched Gonzaga dismantle, was it USC?
Yes. Now, what about, no, it was UCLA.
No, I think UCLA and Michigan were playing, and I went to bed when that one was – UCLA had a pretty good lead at the half.
I got to figure Michigan won that game.
I watched about half of the second half, and it had whittled down to, I think, 1 point.
I'm sure Michigan won. I can't prove it, but I think Michigan probably won.
I can try to find out real quick. Patrick Strauss asked, how about the Ags baseball?
Ags baseball, a couple of long balls. They beat the Longhorns 2-0. Emotional. It's always fun when these two schools play.
Stanford destroyed Louisville, too, 78-63.
Michigan win or not?
I'm getting to that. I have to check that one first.
We only have an hour.
I know.
We don't have a lot of extra time.
No, UCLA hung on, 51-49.
Well, speaking of not having extra time, I did not know this.
So the Final Four set on the men's side. Baylor takes on Houston.
I'll get back to you.
UCLA and Gonzaga. And on the women's side, I'm just trying to finish this up.
No, you're good. It's fantastic. It's great radio. Little team dissension.
And on the women's side, Stanford and South Carolina, UConn and Arizona. So 3 number 1s and a number 3 on the women's side get in. And 2 number 1s, a 2 and an 11 on the men's side. UCLA is the 11.
So yesterday, now I did not know this. I don't in general. H.R. Mallory pointing out Aggie stats. Number 5, TU kept scoreless by a freshman pitcher. Okay, legit. I'll take that.
See who goes.
We'll see in Omaha. We'll see who gets to Omaha. By the way, I've heard that Rob Childress, if he doesn't go deep this year with this team that he's about done. Like Tonko says, hey, at least the Texas team will be in the finals. No, it'll be UT when it's all said and done.
No, he's talking basketball. I think Baylor and Houston play in the one Final Four match, right?
So I don't know if you knew this or not because I didn't tell you, and I didn't tell you before the show that I just casually mentioned something yesterday that I didn't know we had some big scoop. I didn't know we were on top of the planet. I mean, multiple conversations, multiple sources had told me the future plans of Mr. Fowler, and I was told after the show, I got several phone calls. Wow, man, you scooped the Advocate. You scooped the Advocate. I did not know this, and I don't compete with the Advocate. You know, live radio comes in. I can hear something right here from one of you and report it, and you know, at the end of the day, the Advocate can't report it until tomorrow. But people pointed out to me that yesterday's headline from the Advocate finally got around to reporting that Dale Fowler had planned to resign. And at the same time that people were opening that, we were telling them where he was going to go. And I did not know that that was such big news. But thank you for those of you that pointed that out. He is going to AEP to assist with business development, community, and economic development for AEP. And I couldn't be happier for him. Yeah, good for him. I mean, he's a great guy and a terrific asset to our community.
BJ Nelson says, here's the first Carter's listening with her.
Yeah, because I had to listen to you do your stuff about Final Four. You're worth it.
I think she means her son.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
your namesake.
We'll see you at lunch. Hello, Carter.
Good morning, Carter. Not you.
Carter Nelson.
Yeah. Wrong Carter.
Sure.
Better Carter.
The better one. Kid's got a brighter future.
So, Governor Abbott, story in the Texas Tribune, and I like to look at a bunch of sources.
And the Tribune's a little left-leaning, but pretty well-written.
Yeah, I think so.
Well-written.
And they're not. They have a story that, and here's the headline: when Texas ended its mask mandate, the event cancellations started, and the losses are adding up.
So they're making the tie there that the losses are adding up because the mask mandate ended. Correct?
Yeah. Which my understanding is, and here's the next line: at least 4 conferences were canceled in Austin because of the lack of a statewide mask mandate.
Doubtful. I doubt that.
And I read further into this, right? They're saying they've cost one hotel $350,000 in revenue.
They're just begging the Democrats to send them some of that $1.9 trillion. That's all that is.
That's kind of where I'm going with it as well, because the hotel has every right that it wants to impose its own mask mandate. They just don't want to actually have to do it. They didn't want to be the heavy hand, right?
They want the government to be the heavy hand. Oh, the same government that they want to bail them out.
Yeah. And then somewhere in this story, one of the events was going to be held partially online and scaled back from its usual projected attendance of 6,000 to about 1,000 people, which tells me when they decided to move partially online, which is a bunch of BS, because if you've got 6,000 people and 5,000 of them are going to be attending online, it's mostly online.
Right. It's not a 7,000 person conference.
No.
It's more like a 1,500 person conference.
So when only 1,000 people are going to show up in Austin, what I think happened was a lot of people who make the decisions on who's attending this conference said, you know what? Since it's going to be online, we'll pay for your registration, but we're not going to, in a year when our revenues are down, we're not going to pay for your we're not going to pay for your hotel, your airfare, your mileage, your meals, all that other stuff. So what probably happened was the 1,000 people they were expecting turned out to be probably 150 people.
Right.
And so they canceled the conference. And they're still going to do it online. They just weren't getting the people. The 1,000 people they expected to show up weren't going to show up because, again, if I'm a business owner, I'm not sending a bunch of people to somewhere where they can get all that programming for free online.
So look at Christina Wise, who lives in Austin, says, hey, they're canceling due to the homeless problems. And Callie Fromme throws in correctly the tent cities in Austin and the aggressive panhandlers might have something to do with it. Now, BJ Nelson comes down here, always the creative mind, and says, it used to be a crime. Make homelessness a crime again. MHCA. Everything's kind of like MAGA. That would be Mojica. Make homelessness a crime again. I don't
recall homelessness ever being a crime.
It wasn't, but she's on a roll. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Okay. I just wonder about.
But the aggressive panhandling and some of those things could certainly be.
Any little bit helps. It'll help. Give me some money.
But to blame Governor Abbott, and then they reached out to other cities and they either got no response or they'd seen no such response to their conventions. So I mean, yeah, there's something going on in Austin that they haven't quite gotten to, but the easy thing to do for the convention organizers was to blame Governor Abbott and his mask and dropping the mask mandate.
If you blame the government, maybe they'll send you some money to shut you up. Maybe they'll bail out that Hyatt. You know, oh, here's $500 billion.
And when is that ever? I mean, that seems to be the government's response to every problem. Let's throw
Except
money at
my
it.
problems, not my problems.
They take money from from taxpayers and law-abiding citizens, but panhandling was a crime.
Now, BJ makes a great point there. Panhandlers were a crime. Get those people in rehab as most need help. That's how we can show compassion. I agree. There's three kinds of panhandlers in Victoria, and the legitimate, temporarily homeless person who's just down on his luck is the vast minority of those three kinds.
I saw a guy the other day. I was at the Walgreens across from Walmart. He's wearing a brand new vest, a brand new crease still in the sleeves, like cinch shirt.
He just got into Cavender's right there.
And newer looking jeans. I couldn't say they were new. And he's got himself a backpack at the outside of Walgreens. And then he goes and he walks across the street and camps out at the Walmart. And he pulls out his cardboard sign. This guy's got newer clothes than me.
I would load that dude up and take him to Hallettsville.
There's no way in heck the guy is homeless. Sorry. Go to the big cities and see true homelessness. They're not wearing brand new sweater vests and brand new cinch shirts straight off the rack.
Well, there's the other two types of panhandlers are the legitimate, literal professional panhandler. They're brought in here. They each have a prominent corner. They all get together and pool their money later and give some of it to the guy that gives them rides around town. So that's professional panhandling, and there's quite a bit of that. Yep. And it can be quite lucrative, certainly more than $15 an hour, for sure. And the third type is the bona fide mental health person or the drug addict. We had a couple standing at the corner right there by the new Texan at the corner of Main Street and the Loop, and she was she was itching and wiping, and I'm just crackhead, Well, I feel bad for her, like to get her some help, would even probably commit state funds to get her some help, but I don't want her standing on my street corners. I want her out of there. And in that regard, I have compassion for her plight, decisions she has made, choices she's made in her life to be in the situation she's in, and I would like to help rehab her. But I don't need her standing out there begging for money to bring this problem to the front where I've got an 8-year-old going, Daddy, what's wrong with that lady? She's a crackhead, son.
That's why you don't want to do that.
Don't do drugs. Don't be the poster child for what not to do on a public street. There you go. Yes, Jeff Fonseca says, I've seen some with an iPhone.
What not to do on a public street is break down, but if you do,
call Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300.
The only one we ever call.
Beautiful fleet, lots of, all the way up to a 75-ton crane. You drive something off in the ditch, they can literally pick it up, put it back on the street. Literally pick it up. They right side up big rigs that slide off into the ditch all the time. They can certainly get your Yugo over to Atzenhofer. The VCS companies, I talked to Jim Hartman yesterday. Mr. Hartman's still kind of social distancing. Ethan's doing very well, his grandson, and but at the same time, cautious and good for them. See, I respect individual freedom, and I respect his ability to protect his family. They'll also protect yours with their security systems, surveillance, just all types of communication gear, 1080p
devices.
I've got zooming 1080p color cameras,
hardware, software, all the equipment you need for any communication.
It's all there.
Effort or project that you need, they can do it all.
Reach out to them. If you're going to die, If you think there's ever a chance that you're going to die, reach out to Dana Moore De La Garza.
652-9157 is the number to call.
Dana can help you pre-plan, prepay your funeral. I think that might give you some peace of mind to know that for you, they're going to play John Denver's "Thank God I'm a Country Boy."
For me?
Yeah, I've already got that on the
Okay.
slate. I've got that on the turntable.
It's in the jukebox. I'll
It's
be propped
in there.
up beside.
I'm going to put some sand in your boots and a bottle in your hand,
That's
and
all I
lean you.
want.
I picture you at the brown bag interned for a while.
Put me in a casket. Put ice on me. Chill your beers on.
We don't want you to stink.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and with all that cheese curds and cabbage and those Vienna sausages.
Poutine, no Vienna sausages.
Yeah, you used to eat that jelly.
No, the smoked oysters.
The jelly.
The smoked oysters out of the can.
Yeah, suck them down, right?
With crackers and hot sauce.
Nice. Canadian gourmet.
At 12:30 in the morning.
Sure. Go get right. This is all we got.
That's all we had.
You're the guy that would complain. I had to put my smoked oysters on white bread.
Just saltines. Had no Triscuits.
Reach out to Dana Moore, 652-9157. HR says he loves my optimism. We're talking about, he's talking about UT baseball at that point. Good morning, Brooke Bloschke, cheerleader extraordinaire over at Cade.
Good morning.
The daughter of Mike and Amanda. She's the daughter of Mike and Amanda Bloschke. Can you hear Brother Gary? Hey, taught their parents.
Chesnick Furniture Company.
101 years downtown Victoria.
Selling it for $70 in their current location. Over 70 years now. At the corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge. 116 West Juan Lynn if you want the precise street address.
It is
easy to
interesting.
find.
Yeah, and I never told you this, but you'll agree because I know we both go down there quite a bit. You would think when you're in a brick building in downtown Victoria and you've been in there for 70 years, it would be acceptable to walk in there and for the place to be kind of musty and all that. But it always smells fresh and new because they sell so much furniture that everything that's in there is brand new. Including they got bedding and Tempur-Pedic bedding. It's awesome. Oh, HR says it's optimistic that I'll be at Ash's funeral.
Yeah, you'll still be here.
I have plausible deniability that I'm the one who put him under. Veracruz today, it's called a Wednesday. You've got to get by.
You've got to get by.
If you haven't ever done it, trust us. You will like.
Today's the day. Veracruz for lunch today. If you needed to go, 576-6015. I'm optimistic I'll be here for a while longer. I got good results from my little procedure a week or so ago. Everything's good.
Well, let's go back and revisit that.
No, not for 10 years now.
Right. Made you sad, didn't it? You're like, Doc, can I come back in
Not
5,
at all.
please?
Not at all. So we're gonna be good. I mean, at least 10 years now.
Once you ask the doc, can I still just prep? Is it okay if I just prep?
No, it might not be a bad thing. Bad thing to do every once in a while.
A little colonic to get you ready.
So,
what else were you going to tell me about today? You have a lot of we have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Church memberships on the decline for the first time ever, according to Gallup poll. Americans say that only about 47% of Americans say they belong to a church, synagogue, or a mosque, down from 50% in 2018 and as high as 70% in 1999. Church membership in this country first was 73% when Gallup first measured it in 1937 and remained near the 70% mark for the next 6 decades, according to this story from Gallup. It started a steady decline around the turn of the 21st century.
Is it millennials straying away from church membership? Doesn't mean they're necessarily straying away from faith.
No.
But the trend would be we're becoming at least like an agnostic, population.
Well, I don't know that it's even this or that. Our church is losing touch.
I don't know.
With more people now, I mean,
are Americans losing touch? Because God hasn't changed.
No.
If God hasn't changed, maybe we're the ones losing touch.
Well, but a lot of churches haven't changed.
True. You got to figure that some of the older folks, you were saying earlier, some of my best material, folks, comes from just conversations with Ash that I then pirate and give back to you. But you made the comment, I'll give you credit for it today. You made the comment that a lot of these
I was Cheryl all the time.
These older folks that have always been in church, always, have been hesitant to go because of COVID.
A lot of them have died off.
And then
because
you
of
get
COVID.
out of the habit of going. But see, where I would throw a wrench in that.
Patrick Strauss says the more you miss church, the less you miss church.
Right. Right. It's like a fake pandemic until you actually get back into church and realize what you've been missing. It's interesting, though, that if you were to poll the people coming across the border from Honduras and Guatemala and Mexico,
El Salvador,
90% of them are
China,
going to be Catholic. They're going to have, oh yes, I'm a church person. They, their culture is immersed in church.
Well, now you've hit on something that might actually get the Democrats to do something with the border.
What would they do? Put up temples?
Well, no, if you tell them they're coming here to go to church, they'll stop that because they don't like religion.
That's a legitimate point, because religion, according to Karl Marx and the Democrats, is just an opiate of the people.
Gallup poll says their decline in membership is tied to an increase in a lack of religious affiliation. So there you go. The number of Americans who do not identify with any religion has grown from 8% in 98 to 2000 to 13% in 2008 to 2010 and 21% over the past 3 years. So it may not be that they're not religious. They're just not tied to a church anymore.
Not to a specific denomination. I think there's probably a large contingent of folks who are disillusioned with the Catholic Church in the iteration that it has evolved into or devolved into. It's very difficult.
Well, the current pope might be the most polarizing pope that I've known in my lifetime. You either like him or you don't.
Right.
And I know a lot of Catholics that don't.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
He's not the Pope John Paul II that I grew up,
in the Pope Mobile.
Yeah.
I remember a bit that they did on him. They said, "Why does the Pope drive around in a bulletproof Pope Mobile?"
Because you got idiots try to take him out.
They go, "What's the worst thing that could happen? He could get shot and go to heaven?" That's not a bad point. It's kind of a do as I say, not as I do type mentality, isn't it?
Kind of, well, maybe.
I want to go to heaven. I just don't want to go right now. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Do as I say, not as I do.
It's very parental. Can you hear Wally? Because I said so.
That was all the reasoning you needed back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like everybody up in arms over the Georgia lawmaker that was trying to storm the Georgia state
Senate
governor's office and then got arrested. That wouldn't have happened if it was a white person. No, that would have happened regardless, because her being an elected representative doesn't give her any more privilege than the average citizen. But that's the problem. Too many of our elected representatives in this country think that they don't have to abide by the rules the rest of us have to abide by. All you have to do is look at Governor Newsom in California. Well, y'all got to stay home, but I'm going to go have a birthday party at a restaurant.
Were you a little bit surprised that when Ted Cruz was at the border, that he didn't just simply have that hourly wage contract staffer removed from his view of what he wanted to see?
No, I don't know that he has that kind of rank, does he?
Why doesn't he? He's the senator from the state where the detention center is.
He's not in charge of the detention center.
He's a senator from the state of Texas, him and John Cornyn.
He's not in charge of the detention center. He doesn't run Customs and Border Patrol.
It's interesting, though, right, that you would think that he's high enough up the chain that he could say,
somebody would have.
Yeah, I want to see.
You know darn well there are lawmakers that would have done that, and I commend Ted Cruz for not trying to pull rank and that. 4,100 kids being held in a center that's designed to hold about 250. And Joe Biden is so full of hatred and Trump derangement syndrome that he will not acquiesce on his failed policy at the border and go back to the policies that were at least stemming the tide and keeping things from being overrun.
This is all Trump's fault.
And now we've got the crisis at the border that's not a crisis, according to Jen Psaki, and she'll circle back on what it actually is when she finds a term that might fit what it is that doesn't seem so alarming, But she just hasn't. They haven't found that term yet.
The day that Donald Trump told all the little old flag waving ladies to storm the United States Capitol is the day that he also said, and please swamp our borders. Donald Trump did this. It's his fault. You must be objective, or you need to go to a camp and be reprogrammed after we seize all your assets in the name of debt control.
Yeah, because the border crisis is there's no issue at the border, but it's such a non-issue that Joe Biden has appointed Kamala Harris to oversee it, the non-issue at the border, right? That makes perfect sense. And you know what's interesting? The media and the Democrats just believe it.
Yeah, the media just gobbles it up.
Why would you put her in charge of the situation at the border if there's no situation at the border?
Legit point.
But they don't want to ask that question.
The Biden administration's hypocrisy is frightening. We always say the left is easily most recognizable by their hypocrisy. What do you make of this? And I don't get this. I can't draw the connected dots. Even as a small child, I can remember saying, that was probably not the best idea. When back after Pearl Harbor, the American military and authorities gathered up Japanese Americans and held them in camps basically until they could prove that they weren't subversive. And I thought, oh, that's a little bit of a violation of some civil rights, although at about 5, I didn't call it that. I just
knew it was wrong.
I just knew it was wrong
Yeah.
to just load them up just for being Japanese descent. And yet, yesterday in New York, a 38-year-old, happened to be white dude, idiot. He's just an idiot, beat up a 65-year-old Asian woman walking down the street. Got arrested. He's charged with multiple things. In fact, assault as a hate crime. So that's a new thing.
Well, because he was uttering anti-Asian, I guess, phrases while he was kicking her and stomping her and beating her. And
what a tough guy, right?
Yeah.
To beat up a 65-year-old Asian woman walking home from her groceries shopping. And I find myself trying
kicked her like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I'm trying to move that over and say that beating up a random Asian woman just for being Asian because you're upset with what happened in China, the government, is the same as blaming all white people for, say, something like slavery. We didn't have nothing to do with it.
Well, it'd be like blaming all white people for the attack on this woman yesterday.
Right.
And then there were 3 other people that, if you looked at the surveillance video, there's 3 other people standing in the lobby of a building. They watched it. They shut the doors. They did nothing. That's a sadder statement to me on where we are in society, that as bad as this, and I've got to watch my tongue because I just about cursed. As bad as this idiot, and that's not even a strong enough word, this hateful, racist a-hole,
right,
and his attack on this woman, the fact.
Yeah, that's it. I get that. I mean, I would say it was probably during World War II.
Well, there was a lot of hatred for people during and after World War II.
Yeah.
The Krauts, Germans, Russians. Krauts are Germans.
Of course, the Russians had it coming.
Italians weren't liked very well. I mean, anybody that fought against the Allies in World War II was not exactly looked upon at the end of the war with favor.
Never forget the Irish, the real root of the problems. Potato farmers.
Christina Wise says, who that stood there and videoed should be arrested for not rendering.
I agree. To me, that's you're complicit.
I don't think they videoed it. I saw this from a surveillance camera in a I'm assuming an apartment building, could have been an office building in New York, but they didn't do anything. Yeah.
Yeah, CHR says, so it wasn't racist to put Japanese Americans into internment.
No, because FDR did it.
Right.
And if FDR does it, then he's the patron saint of leftists and progressives. So it can't be.
Live in infamy. A day that will live famously for you forever is the day that you go on Atzenhofer.com and find your new car.
Since 1926, Atzenhofer has been selling vehicles to Victoria and the surrounding area.
Yeah, so Lisa Poole, this circumcedes that. Lisa says, did y'all see the post on Facebook about the McDonald's in front of the mall? The one in front of the mall worker there in Victoria was overheard saying, I hate effing Chinese people. See, that employee needs to be fired. I mean, because if you can't insert any other ethnicity or race there, you can't stand at McDonald's and yell, I hate gay people. You can't stand there and yell, I hate Mexican people. So you shouldn't be able to stand there and yell, I hate Chinese people. Now, I've joked for years on the show, long before the Wuhan, the China virus. I joked that there's only one race that you can still just have all the fun you want with, and that is the Asians, because nobody cares. That's a true statement. You're not going to see Asian Lives Matter. It's just not going to happen. They're not going. They don't protest. They work.
At that time,
they work. They're too busy working to take time to
and being discriminated against by Ivy League colleges.
Right. Since 1926, Adsenhofer is Victoria's dealership. Reach out to them today.
Even Hollywood made fun of Chinese folks. There were comedies.
Oh yeah. Well, even most recently,
but it's okay
an Asian sitcom that played every stereotype. Yeah. The thing you've got to remember as you look in the mirror is that 90% of all stereotypes are based loosely on fact. There's reality.
No fact. Perception, maybe. There's no fact.
Reality. I mean, reality. They are. They're based on reality.
They're not.
They are. I mean, give me a stereotype. Give me one. Give me anything. Irish are drunks. Irish are drunks. Come on, who are you kidding? Am I wrong?
Russians eat cabbage.
There you go. And they have horrible gas. You see Kelly Fromme just stumble in here, first time into the Tower of Power, and just went straight in the green room and got her a frozen margarita.
She knows where it is. She heard the machine turning.
Unbelievable.
White Trash Services, speaking about machines turning, 550-1826, that machine turns every day, all day.
Yeah, 550-1826 in the 7-county area, Holiday Beach, Rockport, parts of Venezuela, and, of course, Las Vegas, Nevada. BJ Nelson and her team, Scott Nelson and his team, however you want to look at it, those great folks, people, call out there and get a body on the phone. They will help you have a trash-tastic day. They'll help you get your refuse where you want it to go. Dana Moore de la Garza, she's right there. We talked about her helping you with your funeral needs. Says her 8-year-old told Ricky, that'd be Ricky de la Garza and her, that we will be having another silver war pretty soon. She meant civil war, but silver war.
There's been a lot of fights, a lot of wars fought over silver and gold. So why not?
It's going to be a golden skullduggery. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull and his team. JP be celebrating today. The Aggies won big. They got to beat Daddy, so he'll be excited.
He doesn't care. It's baseball. Midweek baseball.
He does care. Blondes or ditzy? BJ, no comment. I'm not going to touch that one.
Nope, not with Kelly Fromme standing up.
There you go. JP Hull.
I'm seeing BJ later today.
Right. I'm not going to. I mean, you just can't say, oh, that's the truth. Wait until you reach out to JP Hull and you realize that, wow, I thought my internet was slow. It's really that the Chinese and the Indians and some Russians and the Russians, they're all involved in my
business.
They're all up in my webpage. The law offices of Stephen Kidder. I talked to Stephen yesterday. He's super busy. I asked him, he said, I'm always looking to help people. If you have a new client for me, please send them. So the law offices of Steve Kidder, adopting a child, dissolving a marriage, preferably don't adopt the child and then dissolve the marriage, but you know what I'm saying.
I know.
Trust, wills, legal contracts, civil disputes, criminal matters, fat kids, skinny kids, kids that climb on rocks. Whether you want click, treat.
Steve will sue them all.
Spam, he does it all. Potted meat. Canned ham, Underwood deviled ham, Steve Kidder, Vienna sausages, smoked oysters.
The little guy always reminded me of the Arizona State Sun Devil.
Steve Kidder. I think he's patterned after that guy.
No, I meant the Devilwood
I know.
ham guy.
Yeah, the
Underwood devil.
He's all in red.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Complete 360. You won't find any deviled ham there.
No, but you will find that was beautiful. Well done.
Thank you.
You'll find a fresh panini with spinach and ham and magnificent
Lean,
low-calorie sauces.
Protein packed.
Fantastic. You'll go there and you'll go back. Everybody that I know that's been said, "Hey man, thanks for the heads up. We had lunch there. It's reasonable. It's completely healthy. You leave there full."
There's a stereotype that's completely been disassembled and dismantled.
That healthy food tastes bad.
Exactly, because Complete 360 is good and it's good for you.
Way to bring us back to our topic. We were talking about. I mean, I don't think it's wrong to say that, I mean, I went to Texas with a whole bunch of Jewish kids. They're tight, folks. They're tight. We call that frugal. It's not necessarily negative. Don Nicole says, try out the supplements at Complete 360. I agree 100%. But I mean, you say, well, that's racist or you're being
That's
culturally.
stereotype.
It is, but it's true though. I mean, it's not that they're not generous; they're just frugal. You know why? A lot of stereotypes are based in reality, and the reality is based in necessity. When the whole world is out to get you, when you're putting everything you've got in a pillowcase and running from the Nazis, when your grandparents ran from Poland barefoot, you are tight. You are careful. Nobody's got your back. The federal government's not giving the Jewish Relief Program, the JRP. So I mean, those stereotypes are, now there's some that are just silly.
Yeah.
But they're fun. They make you nervous. It makes you nervous,
Some.
doesn't it? Makes you a little nervous exploring.
Juvenile.
I agree. Look, Steve Kidder says Hitler never understood blonde
No.
jokes. I get it.
Didn't get him.
It is interesting to me that Adolf Hitler wanted a society of 6 foot tall, blonde haired, blue eyed men. He was 5'9" and dark headed. Really weird if you think about it.
And a little more on the dark complected side.
Yes, and he would find little kids and rub their head like thought they were going to get the oho, and he was like rubbing their head and just loving them and
maybe that's where Joe Biden learned it.
He was creating the master race, but he wasn't part of it. That's very interesting.
No, it was very. Do as I say, not as I do.
Right, which is the way a lot of authority rolls.
So the World Health Organization, speaking of do as I say, not as I do, and just a bunch of paid off morons who couldn't find any fault in China for the second time.
Right.
They've now done 2 investigations into the COVID origin and China's role in releasing it to the world, allowing the world to become infected by it. And 2 investigations, nothing, nada. Well, I might have started here, but we haven't really found anything. It basically sums it up, right? Now they want a global pandemic treaty.
Because the treaty will prevent the pandemic.
Well, yeah, I mean, it feels good. You know where this is going. This is going to be Paris Accord, and you know who's going to be on the hook for all of the bill for this one?
The U.S.
The U.S. Because the only countries that really have any sort of responsibility to the Paris Clean Air Accord, now that we're back in it or getting back in it,
is the U.S.
The U.S., Canada, maybe Great Britain, France, countries that aren't really the world's polluters. You've got China out there that just says, well, at some point we're going to reduce emissions, but till then we're just going to keep doing what we do.
Redistribution of wealth. Yeah. That's all it is.
And so, I mean, listen to this stuff, folks. The main goals of the treaty would be to enhance alert systems, data sharing, and the global production of diagnostics, vaccines, medicines, and personal protective equipment, according to reports in several European newspapers. Let's go through this for a minute. Data sharing. Which country didn't want to tell anybody this thing was even starting to happen?
China.
Which country did they want to enhance alert systems? Which country didn't want the world to know that this thing was happening?
China.
Vaccines. Which country sold a vaccine to all of its so-called allies and friends, claiming it was 95% effective, and it turns out in the real world it's about 50% effective?
China. I think you're being racist right now.
Which country went and took all the personal protective equipment from the rest of the world, bought it all up, then said, oops, we're sorry, we're going to give it back to you, and then went and manufactured knockoff defective pieces of equipment and either gave it or sold it back to the rest of the world?
Canada.
Yes.
China.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Which country in the Paris Clean Air Accord doesn't care about their emissions and just said basically, you know what? We're not going to do anything.
That is China. People just don't understand what the Paris Clean Air Accord was all about. I mean, it was a redistribution of there's credits involved, and you can buy and sell credits, and it allowed us to basically shut down our coal production, but it allowed Indonesia to ramp up theirs because you can only have 100% coal production, and if 50% was here, now it can be 100% in Indonesia, which helps them develop as a country, so that they can then probably want nuclear, so they can have, nuclear power. I don't know. It's craziness.
No, it really is.
Everything's against the U.S.
Well, and Western civilization.
But it's against the U.S. by the direction of the Democratic Party. It certainly is the opposite of America first. No doubt about it. It's America last. And we'll last one out gets the check. That's us.
But I mean, what good is another treaty?
None.
When you have bad actors that'll be part of it. Russia's no different.
No, you can't trust them.
And yet we're supposed to trust them to, share their data. They're trying to steal our data, folks. They do it every day.
I think people get together all the time and say, well, of course, we did actually violate our word on that agreement. But, I mean, everybody does it. I think that's the way the ambassadors visit with each other. Well, of course we violated that. You knew when we signed that we weren't going to adhere to that. Come on. We just did that for PR.
Makes you wonder all those nuclear reduction agreements that were signed in the 70s and 80s, what actually.
Jim Simpson asked, hey, who won the game last night? There were lots of games last night, Jimmy.
What are you talking about, Jim?
Texas didn't win any of them.
So, and let's see. Yeah, imagine that. China, Russia, and the U.S. were the countries that were absent from that proposal, where others signed on for it from the WHO. The U.S. probably because Joe Biden was already in bed when they decided to make the phone call and talk about it.
Yeah, it was at 6 Eastern time.
Yeah, but Russia and China probably by design because they don't care.
No.
So
Putin has literally embarrassed Joe Biden, saying, hey, why don't we have a live debate? No teleprompters, no notes, just me and you. Let's just have a conversation. Oh, no, we can't do that. We don't negotiate with terrorists. And have you noticed that I figured something out about Kamala Harris? It's not a bad thing. It's just an observation.
What's that?
She how she laughs at things? It's a nervous laughter. She realizes that she does realize, folks, that she's in way over her head.
That's her only way out of every situation.
And her way out of every situation is to laugh. When she decides that she's uncomfortable, she laughs it off. And
or she doesn't like the question you asked or you.
She's like, well, we should be paying teachers more. Teachers need more money. I'm like, really? Thanks.
How about that? California teachers can't go into the classrooms to teach, but they can go into commandeered shopping centers and teach migrant children
for free. And the union said, no, you can't do that, which makes sense because the union is saying you can't do that because you can infect every other teacher that you have a responsibility
to. But the union's whole stance has been you can't go teach because it's unsafe. Our schools are unsafe.
Yeah, now the Democrats
you can't walk into an old Walmart that's been commandeered and overrun with migrant kids who need to learn and teach them because it just blows your BS narrative that the schools are unsafe.
Right. There you go. White Trash Site Services, new company.
So
tearing down a house. Tearing down the house. Hey, Texas Coast Limo.
576. 575 limo, 576 limo. There's two numbers because one's limo. Too busy.
Reach out, Bob Constantine. Take your whole family. Easter Sunday, you want to ride to someplace nice, church, get out of church. They only see you once a year. Get out of church in a limo. Get out of the limo right there to church.
Well, they don't even see you anymore. Less than half the country's going.
Virtual limo ride. Motto Mortgage, Terry Murray, help you with every type of mortgage, every conceivable, whether you want to
Clean up
cash
your
out,
double wide
refi,
financing.
absolutely, with the polyester curtains, the redwood deck. Reach out to Terry Murray at Motto Mortgage. Lent Services, whether you need a generator, which you do if you don't have one, whether you need a generator,
They've got one sitting right outside. I noticed it this morning driving in. I didn't notice it before, but like a display of a generator sitting
solar
right there.
solar panels
You can
with a
see
battery
exactly
backup.
what they look like.
You get a generator that runs on propane and solar panels with a battery backup, and you literally
Should be
could
good.
be kind of off the grid.
Yeah, you can put a windmill up too.
Absolutely.
You'd be good.
Put it out in the salt water. That'll work. That'll last forever. USA Concrete Coatings 578 Home. Charlie Garcia and his team will come out, clean up your garage floor, put down a really tough polyurethane coating,
I'll go to your
antimicrobial,
guest. You continue.
antibacterial. Go wake her up. I think I smell cigar smoke from the green room. You've got this coating. You can make it like Dallas Cowboy colors, Houston Texans colors, whatever color you want. They can put all the little flecks on the ground for you.
Yankees colors.
Yankees colors if you want. Yeah, if you want to lower the value of your home. Astros colors, you can do that. It's all there.
Aggies orange.
And of course, the Great Barn, Cheryl, 920-6803. 920-6803. Cheryl, help you plan your next party. In fact, we're going to hook Cheryl up with Callie Fromme. And when we have another event for the 100 Club, bam, right there, Cheryl's going to help design it. We're going to do that.
But my daughter had to attend some sort of a cultural training class for her sorority at her college. And one of the things that she thought about that crossed her mind was the fact that our home, where we would host such a party, is completely a hacienda decor. And so are we appropriating?
You're appropriating culture, which of course is white privilege. And the fact that you didn't think about it before you built the home just shows how immersed you are in your white privilege.
I understand. I've been accused of it. So
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're blonde. I mean, come on. The stereotypes abound.
So we can't have a party at my house.
Right. Steve Kidder says that that Trump made up the office of the former president. Tell us what's going on. I know you're here about the 100 Club, but if you'd like to tell us about anything else that's going on that you have observed in the community, we'd love to hear it. You're a great listener, a great friend.
Oh, thanks. And I appreciate getting to come to this tower of power. It's really nice.
Look at that view.
Yeah, it's incredible. I can see my office from here.
Ash owns most of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so before I get started talking about the 100 Club, I will tell you that I went to a Michael Cloud fundraiser last night, and I picked up some swag, and I was hoping I could trade you for my supposed tumbler that you owe me.
We do owe you a tumbler. It is well noted that we owe you a tumbler.
Well, there's your swag.
It's a look at this.
It's a cloud.
It's a Michael Cloud. It's a stress reliever. Look at
Nice.
that. Isn't that
That's
crazy?
pretty cool.
So now you really owe me.
We
We owe you now.
really owe you. We will. Ash, I want you to put the show door key on that.
That'll remind you.
That would remind us.
You have the door key.
Oh, we always come in. Bill Posey's always here.
Right.
And when Bill's off, Ash and I are out there like trying to break into the suite. But yes, we do owe you a tumbler, but we're waiting for the right one. I've got the gear. It's ready to go. It's just got to get the right tumbler.
Okay, that's fine.
No doubt. No doubt. There's Brother Gary. Brother Gary taught Callie. Both times.
Not so lucky.
Both times she was in the 7th grade. She went through Texas history twice with Brother G. Tell us
She
about the
liked it so
100
much.
Club.
Okay, so I think your listeners, for the most part, have a pretty good idea of what the 100 Club does. So I think I'll jump right away to our event that's coming up, and then we can come back and if we want to talk about the 100 Club in general. Good Friday, all the McDonald's here in Victoria from 11 to 2 are going to give a percentage of their sales to the Victoria 100 Club.
That's awesome.
It is. It is.
And that's a big number.
It is. So we're trying to get more people to go. And I know not everyone eats at McDonald's, but you know, they have cookies. You can buy cookies for your office, or you can just buy burgers for your office, or buy burgers for a doctor's office.
Yeah. What I remember about McDonald's, and I thought that I was crazy until I found out that I wasn't.
The McRib?
No, they had the best fountain Coca-Cola.
I agree.
And the reason is, this is a little known fact of truth. McDonald's contract with Coca-Cola states that the syrup is kept at a consistent temperature from the time it's made until the time it's delivered to their restaurant.
Well, that's interesting.
So it's always cold.
It's all the
Whereas
science. They
it's
determine that that's
science,
the optimal
science.
temperature for
It's true, right?
Coke.
Yeah, I gotta give you a little bit though. You said it's a fact that is the truth.
Right, because
Shouldn't all facts be the
it's
truth?
Wow.
in this political environment, you picked up on something that we key on. There are facts that are not true.
Well, okay,
Correct.
so if you don't clarify your facts as true, then we should question them.
Follow the
And
science.
You're thinking
Follow
like a
the
Republican.
science.
You've got to follow the science, Dr. Fauci. Yeah, you're thinking like a Republican.
Critical thinker.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. So how much money are we hoping to raise with this? Like you've run the numbers, you're a number runner. So I know you've kind of thought about, we could make X number of dollars off this.
Well, this is the third year that the Victoria McDonald's Group has been doing this. I think that in what they call their central region, it's been going on for a few years. So the first time we participated, we as a club, it was a new thing and we didn't really know much about it and we didn't get involved and promote it very much. So we were lucky enough to get $1,000 out of the deal. Then last year COVID came along and they canceled it. So this is the first year where I've really made a lot of effort trying to publicize it. So I have no idea, but
2,500, $3,000 maybe. I mean, you came to the Tower of Power. Wait, folks, tomorrow, drive through
Good Friday.
Get some practice tomorrow, and then for real, go for reals. Go back on Friday. Your donation essentially is supporting the Victoria 100 Club. Mark Jameson, our number 2 at VPD, says Victoria 100 Club is an awesome organization that has assisted us for years. Thank you for all you do. With motorcycles, equipment, training, safety gear for the guys.
Insurance, peace of mind.
Yeah, the fallen officer program is all critical to what you guys do, and it's awesome.
well, I think that Mark is particularly excited because we made our biggest spend this last year where we bought the Victoria Police Department this incredible virtual reality training. I mean, it was like $64,000.
Right, and I remember reading at the time that it was state of the art, and that the idea that it's kind of like the virtual reality, Brother G, where you put on this and you can train in an office, but it looks like you're in a building, and there's situations. It's very, very, it can be updated.
Yeah, they can change
Very
the
nice.
situations
Yeah.
with every training session. So just because you've done the training once or twice, it's different every time. And the idea is that it does get your adrenaline pumping to better equip you to make those split-second decisions.
Right.
You know, it's easy to do the armchair quarterbacking when you look at
Yeah.
what happened in a situation where maybe someone did have to use their weapon.
Absolutely.
But going through this kind of training, because they do hope to allow the media and a few different lay people to experience it, so you can quit doing that armchair quarterbacking and realize that it's tough to make those decisions in those split seconds.
Absolutely.
Jeff Fonseca says he'll do McDonald's for a good cause.
He says a double quarter pounder, large fried and unsweet tea. That's only $18, so that's good. You're doing good there. They have financing available if you take a
Round up and donate the change back as well.
Bye, Lisa Poole. She says later.
Well, and
HR Mallory, our state trooper buddy, says, hey, it's amazing. It's great training.
oh, cool.
So he's been exposed to that
That's good.
platform. That's
What-
awesome.
Is there a sneak peek? Have they given you a wish list for this year? What the police department would like, or what are you helping them with, or you can't
No,
release that
but
yet?
I will say that when we did make that huge spend with the police department, we said, you're not probably going to get something quite that amazing next year.
Yeah.
So we have
Cookies. We're getting cookies this year.
Cookies from McDonald's.
Right.
No, we'll do what we can, but that great process is much later in the year.
Okay.
Well, I
BJ
wanna-
Nelson asks, can you contribute more to McDonald's and go to the organization, or how can people do that?
You just make your checkout. They'll take it.
Well, you know how to find me, BJ, but we do have a website, Victoria100club.com. There's a PayPal feature. So if you haven't joined the 100 Club, it's just $100 a year. You can be a life member for $1,000 a year. There's also corporate memberships. And we have a program also that's called VLeaf, and that is how we help pay for different law enforcement individuals who want to continue their education in law enforcement. So
It's like a scholarship program.
right. So Drew Pilkington is a Texas Ranger that we recently helped him get some more credentials
Okay.
and help pay for his tuition. So that fund is quite small. And we encourage our life members who've already joined forever, if they still want to help our organization and help law enforcement, that they can send that money to the V-Leaf program.
Very cool. So they just put that, BJ just put that in the memo section of your check, and they'll make sure it gets taken care of. Or you can do it online.
Not V-Leaf, but you can join online.
There you go.
There you go.
If you haven't joined the 100 Club, I highly recommend it. It's very nice. They send you a very nice letter, let you know some of the work that the organization does. They send you a sticker for your car, which
Doesn't help you.
it doesn't mean you're not going to get a ticket, but it doesn't hurt that the officer comes up there at ease that you are a pro law enforcement person.
And we
So
normally have a wonderful banquet.
yes, and it has been fun, and you've had great speakers at that, and the Brother Man has emceed that. I've seen the Brother Man there.
Yeah. So we didn't do it, COVID, but next year we'll try someone to really make up for the skip.
Well, last year was Joel Saldana, right? And that was awesome. And then we had him on the show the next day, and it was phenomenal, the information that he had. So
Here, say hi to Torrin Bales. I don't know why Torrin's calling us live. He may just fine. You go ahead.
Good morning.
I don't know why he's calling us when he knows we're on.
575
Here, I'm not quite
9509. Give us a call. Give us a call. Torrin.
575-9509. I don't know what he's doing, but I know we're doing radio, so we wanted to let Callie talk to him. He's
No
got
idea.
something. He's got something good to say, though. Torrin always has something good to say.
Oh,
See, he's giving the good
okay.
word.
So I'm going to give Victoria the scoop that AJ Louderback will be on Fox News this morning very shortly. So turn on your TV.
All right. Here we
Fantastic.
go.
That's America's sheriff.
All right, big story.
He's like the Dallas Cowboys of sheriffing. There you go.
Apparently, Torrin's running his PR now.
I guess Torrin. I mean, if you've got Mr. Clean running your PR, you're looking good. Anything else to share? You got up early. You're here, and I mean, we don't
I
want to.
did, but while I was sitting in the green room that did not have margaritas, I think there's so much opportunity for you to have a third person here just to crack responses to the stuff that's going on the whole time.
Right.
Because when you were talking about Kamala's laughter, I wanted to say cackle. It's a cackle.
It is more of a cackle, and you're right.
Yeah. So you should consider having someone just to come in and just throw out.
Well, so here's what it's got to be, though, right? We need a physically challenged, Pacific Rim Asian, transgender person of some color. That's probably. I mean, there's two white dudes doing a show on the Tejano station. It simply can't be.
Can't be.
Okay.
Can't be.
We'll look for that individual.
Y'all help us. And by the way, it would help if they're conservative. BJ Nelson says, a woman, Callie and I can alternate. Which, could you be here at 7 o'clock in the morning some mornings?
Sure, I can do that.
Look at that.
Easier said than done. Trust me.
Right.
You just said some morning.
It's-
You said
it-
every morning.
It's all fun and games on Monday. Come about Thursday morning, you're like, hello.
Can I sleep in?
I call Ash at 6:30 every morning faithfully. And some mornings I'm like, are you going? Are you driving yet? Can we take a medical? Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in. BJ Nelson likes America's Sheriff. I think she actually coined that phrase, so I give her credit for that. Tune into Fox this morning. Watch Sheriff Louderback. He's phenomenal, and it's
Jeff
great.
Fonseca says he's going to join the 100 Club so he doesn't have to feel the sticker off another car.
Right. Yeah, that's like a felony. If you get caught stealing the sticker.
There you go.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining
Thanks, Kelly.
us.
We'll
Thank you.
definitely
And,
hit McDonald's up Friday
Give
at noon.
the brother man a hug.
All right.
And folks, we're going to get out of here and turn it over to the Hall of Famer Ralph Salazar and Brother Gary.
The other Hall of Fame.